Sounds good? Okay, with that being said, I think I could go ahead and start with a presentation. We could move to our first slide after this. I'm actually, Hermes, you could kindly, thank you so much. So we are actually Homeownership SF. As I mentioned, we are Homeownership SF. We're actually a resource hub and education, and we provide basically resources and education on anything about the affordable housing programs here in the city, as well as services and resources that are available in the city, includes financial education, credit, and all this. We do collaborate and also network with other agencies that provide different services across the city. Our member agencies include Asian Inc. We also have Balance, the San Francisco LGBT Center, the Mission Economic Development Agency, and we have the San Francisco Housing Development Corporation as our member agencies. However, I did mention we also help provide assistance to different agencies across the city, and we collaborate with different agencies across the city. And two of them happen to be basically Open House, and later on you'll get to know a little bit more about Open House, and also a little bit more about the legal assistance for the elderly. Next slide, please. Homeownership SF, as I mentioned, you could find a complete list of the San Francisco housing workshops and also city assistance programs that are available by visiting our website, which is www.homeownershipsf.org. Now, if you'd like a little bit more information about Homeownership SF, our member agencies, and also our collaborative agencies, you could call us at 415-202-5464. And our email is at info@homeownershipsf.org. Again, our email is info@homeownershipsf.org. Next slide, please. Thank you so much, Hermes. The first slide, actually, for most of you, I believe that most of you are coming in asking about, are there affordable housing programs or affordable housing units that are available in San Francisco? And I don't know if any of you have already applied for any of the units through the city of San Francisco's Mayor's Office of Housing Community Development, but if in case you have not, I wanted to let you know that there are actually priority housing that is available for people who are disabled or people with disabilities, or seniors, or people people at senior age. Now, how do you designate this? Now, when you apply for any of the affordable housing, this is particularly for any publicly funded affordable housing unit in San Francisco. In certain occasions, also, you may see below market rate units, as well as whether it be rental or home ownership, that may provide priority housing. How are you able to access this priority housing? Basically, when you apply for these units, you are given a chance to designate whether you are eligible for these units. How do you do that? If any of you have already applied through the city and county's City and County of San Francisco's housing programs, you may have been acquainted already with what they call the Dahlia. The Dahlia is a database for affordable housing listings, information, and application. That is actually the page where you can apply for most, if not all, of the affordable housing units that are available through the city that the Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development oversees. Applications to these units are mostly done digitally. And of course, when you are on the Dahlia, there is actually a questionnaire there that definitely asks you, do you need any of the following ADA accessibility features? There we go. So with this question, it will ask you already what type of accessibilities you may need to have. And then basically, you need to check this box to designate that you you want to apply for these units. What does it do for you? It actually, if a particular building or property actually has designated units for this specific need, then they will put you as a priority. So you don't, so basically in the lottery process, the units that are specified for this particular group will have priority to be able to access those units. So if you don't designate that, then you miss that option or that chance to be able to access that. So why is this the case? Because of course, this is, as I said, the city does provide through any of the publicly funded affordable housing development units, priority units, and this is a requirement that, and this is based on the American Disabilities Act or ADA guidelines, to be able to provide accessibility features in their units. Now, when you're searching for both rental and ownership units on Dahlia, you must look for the listing, particularly that says priority units for mobility impairments, vision, and or hearing impairments are on that page. Now, another thing is that for seniors, it's the same thing. They will also designate on the listing that the unit is going to be specific to seniors, or they might have units that are specific to the seniors within the building. Does that make sense? So anyway, you'll get to, you can always ask that later on if you have questions, but we could actually tackle that later on. So let's go move on to the next screen. Thank you so much. So with the next screen, actually, this will be a piece that will be conducted by Ashley Peterson from Open House. Ashley?
Hey, Raquel, thanks so much. Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Aisling Peterson. I supervise the Housing and Resource Navigation Program at Open House. We are a nonprofit in San Francisco that provides housing and a variety of services to seniors and adults with disabilities with a specific focus on the LGBTQ community. I have a unique experience at Open House, which is that I see a lot of people who come to us for support with navigating affordable housing in the city without a lot of information or understanding about what we do outside of our housing opportunities and options. I do see a question in the chat. Can people with disabilities apply to senior listings? That's a great question and one I get often. I find more often than not these days that listings are specifically for folks of a certain age requirement. So it can kind of depend on the property, but we can talk a little bit more about that further towards the end of the presentation. I just want to make sure we all have time to get through our material for today. So I'm actually gonna go forward, and Hermes, you can play. This is a quick video that talks about some of our programs, and then I'm gonna give you kind of a breakdown, including our housing program, of what we do here at Open House. Thank you. And if it doesn't work, that's okay too. Let's see. Videos and PowerPoint can be so finicky. All right, let's see. Let's go on and move forward. We can maybe pull up that video later on if there's time for it, but we can skip to the next slide.
Hold on.
Awesome. Okay. So we can maybe show that video a little bit later on. It actually talks about a program that I get into in just a little bit, so that's fine. So welcome to Open House. We have been around in pretty much some shape or form since 1998. Folks started to kind of get around and realize that, you know, we've been in the LGBT community for many years, and we fought for a very long time to make San Francisco kind of this international beacon for queer and trans folks. And we've got a lot of folks in our community that are aging without a lot of places to go. And we're also aging in a way that we need support services for seniors. And sometimes we felt like we had to go back into the closet in order to get those services for us. So really our idea is that everybody should be able to age and get the services they need, regardless of their age or ability, especially for folks in the LGBTQ community. So our main office right now is at 65 Laguna Street. We're down at the low end of Hayes Valley, pretty much right where Market Street, Guerrero, and Laguna all intersect. We've got a ton of volunteer opportunities and a ton of different programs. I'll talk a little bit about the main categories of those in just a little bit. Most of our programming is still taking place online, but we are starting to bring back some of our programs, including our social activities, to in-person formats. So there's increasingly an opportunity to get involved in person here as well. Next slide, please.
Do you want me to show the video? I just have to reshare my screen.
Oh, gotcha. That's okay. Maybe we can do it at the end.
Good.
Thanks, Hermes. Awesome. Okay, so I think this is a click through. There we go. So a bit of an overview of our housing resources, because I find it's what most folks who come to us through housing are familiar with. So at Open House, we do twice a month housing workshops that go into specifically the rental process in San Francisco. So those look at Dahlia, it gives you a walkthrough of the website, and it also talks a bit about like the structure of affordable housing in San Francisco. Excuse me, my lights are motion detectors and I've been sitting still. So our workshops go into specifically rentals, looking at the structure of affordable housing and talking about some of the resources you might need as somebody who is renting in San Francisco. We also put together once a month an affordable housing list that goes through 5 Bay Area counties all around San Francisco, Alameda, Contra Costa, Marin, and San Mateo, in addition to San Francisco. So we actually do research once a month to find all of the available opportunities that are considered affordable housing, and we share ways that you can apply to them. So that's a great resource and a great list. I think about 7,000 people are subscribed to that right now, and it's growing. So it's a great way to kind of keep a timestamp on what's going on with affordable housing, not just in San Francisco, but outside as well. I also, one of my favorite parts of my work is offering one-on-one housing counseling and support. So I can actually sit down with folks a few times a week, and we look at what's available and we put in applications. So that's assistance with applications to affordable housing, both with pre-applications for the lottery and with helping out with the full application process later on. We can also sometimes help connect people to subsidies when they're available. We don't have, magic tricks or connections to get folks connected to subsidies, but when they're available in the community, we do what we can to connect folks to them. And we also provide a lot of information when it comes to, especially with COVID-19, things are changing a lot with tenant protections. So we do our best to make sure that folks are well informed and know about their rights as far as that goes as well. Open House also, I say housing and resources, and that's because we also have this other side of us, which is known as the ADRC, or an Aging and Disability Resource Center. So we're actually one of several organizations around the city in San Francisco that gets regular training and information from the city to be able to help you answer questions about common resource needs for seniors and people with disabilities. So a lot of those are things like medical care and benefits. We do a lot of referrals and get questions for legal support for agencies like Legal Assistance to the Elderly, actually. Pretty much any kind of need or category of a service that you might have questions about, the ADRC is probably going to have good information for you along those lines. So you can reach out to Open House and get referrals and information for any kind of question you might have if you're someone who's aging or lives with a disability in San Francisco. Next slide, please. Outside of just our housing program, we do offer a bunch of other services that are designed to get people out into the community and connecting with one another. So that looks like mind and body activities, whether that's yoga classes or meditation. We offer usually once a quarter some health education seminars. We have an end of life planning workshop. It's actually coming up, I think, towards the end of October, where you can actually bring your documents and get things notarized to create like a will well, or a medical directive plan as well. We've got some grocery delivery programs and food education. And I'm also really excited about the variety of support groups that we offer and that we create partnerships to offer as well. So whether it's a grief group that we have that's ongoing, a variety of different sort of self-compassion workshops as well. Long-term survivors of HIV and AIDS also have a support group. We've got a variety of just different options to connect with people who are like you and experiencing a lot of the same things that you might be. If you're a senior who's queer or trans, and you're looking to create connections, really we want to reduce isolation in our community, because so often when people get older or if you have a disability, you can feel very alone. So our goal is to make sure you know that there's other people out there that are like you dealing with those issues as well. And we're a resilient community, and we've come up with a lot of creative solutions to try and make the most out of the lives that we have and to build lives that will be better for others in the future as well. Okay, next slide, please. Would you mind tapping that? Perfect, great. More along that socializing side. So outside of just taking care of your own wellness and your well-being, we also just want people to make friends and get out there. We have a lot of fun at Open House. We've got a friendly visitor program. If you're somebody that wants, you know, just like a one-on-one connection with somebody to go for coffee or tell stories to, or just to talk, that's like more of a one-on-one connection. We've also got a variety of other ways for you to get to know other people in your community or folks that are like you or not like you. We have a bunch of language classes. Armando Payone is our expert language instructor here. I think they've had Japanese recently got started, and then there was a Yiddish class also going on pretty recently. So a lot of really unique languages. This picture from a slide is actually from us as a part of the procession in the Pride Parade. So we love June is our favorite month of the year. We are out and about and doing all kinds of stuff each Pride month, so definitely check in on that. Our staff really rallied and did thousands of phone calls to people during the pandemic, and those are still ongoing as well. So we have regular conversations with people. We just want to check in on each other and make sure that we're all still doing well during this time where many people still have to stay isolated and observe that sort of social distancing practice. In addition, you know, we're starting to build out our volunteer opportunities, lots of chances to bring folks groceries in the community, give back and get involved. And additionally, you know, we're also building out a variety of different ways for folks of all variety of ages to get involved and get connected to our community of queer and trans elders. Next slide. Cool. This specifically focuses on our Tgnc trans and gender non-conforming community programs. So we are really building out a bunch of different groups, and some of them have been going strong for several years now. Our group specifically focusing on folks who are of trans experience. We've got a resilience support group. We have a more social side that's just trans 50 plus and fabulous. We've also got some specific services going on. Our trans community liaisons are folks that are just there to be able to kind of check in with you, see what your needs are, and see how Open House can help. And we've got weekly grocery delivery that's been going on for a little bit too. Next, please. Cool. And then actually the video that we were going to play earlier focuses on this partnership that Open House has built with Unlock to offer community day services in our senior community. So this program is really, really unique. It has been workshopped for a very long period of time by a variety of stakeholders in our community, staff, people who are benefiting from the programs, and experts at Unlock all came together to create basically this day program for folks who have care needs that maybe aren't met by just being at home. It's an opportunity to really build community and just to share presence with people. You get a hot meal and there's snacks as well. Really, this includes coordinated personal care. So that looks like some nursing support, medication management, really kind of taking care of the more medical and health aspects too of the body. And then we also just provide a lot of social programming for those who are participating in the program. You get transported to and from, depending on what your need is. And really, we just bring folks and invite them in for the day to take care of themselves in a really holistic way. So that looks like those social activities, food, nutrition, getting out in our gardens and maybe growing something, keeping just access and availability to a variety of services when it comes to staff. And then, we also offer this program on a sliding scale, and it works really well with Medi-Cal. This is a really exciting program to create an opportunity for folks to continue to live independently, even if you have needs that aren't really addressed by you just being at home completely on your own. It's a really, really exciting program, and we love our folks who are engaged at Club 75. That's our name for it, for our community center at 75 Laguna. Okay, let's see. I think that's it for this slide. Is there another one after this? Yes. Great. And so for anybody who's here, if you're a provider for seniors or folks with disabilities, and you're wondering about how people in your specific spaces who are LGBT are feeling in those spaces, or if you want your staff to be better equipped to work with our communities, we also offer training to be able to increase capacity of existing organizations to work with our communities in a way that's really authentic, affirming, and oftentimes repairing harm from senior communities where there hasn't been needs that have been addressed that are specific to our communities. So we provide a variety of trainings for folks who are interested in doing a better job at welcoming LGBT seniors and adults with disabilities into our programming. This is just a list of a few of the different topics that we've been able to offer in the past. So that's kind of a brief overview of our services at Open House. I think folks are most familiar with our housing programs, and I'm happy to talk about that if there's specific questions along those lines. But I also want to invite you, if you think Open House might be a place for you to meet folks that are like you or that are different, or if you're just looking to get out of the house more, we've definitely got opportunities to help folks get involved. So Raquel, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Aisling, for that comprehensive and holistic overview of your programs. It's amazing, right? It's amazing how a lot of people are not aware of these services. And so that's the purpose that we're here, is to really showcase that to you, that Open House is just one of the resources that you might have access to. Coming and behind here, we have Darren Orr and Laura Kiera, who will be talking now about their organization, Legal Assistance for the Elderly. Laura,
Sure.
Darren?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. Wow, what great stuff. I have one question for Aisling. Is there anything Open House doesn't do?
Right.
And you don't have to answer that.
I think pizza delivery is maybe something we're working on. That's probably the only thing I can think of.
Right? It's so comprehensive. I love it.
Great stuff. Great stuff. So my name is Darren Orr, and I'm a staff attorney at Legal Assistance to the Elderly. And I'm here with my executive director, Laura Kiera. And we're going to start out by telling you about our basic program and origin and stuff.
Yeah, so thank you all for being here with us today. We're really excited. Legal Assistance to the Elderly. We provide free legal services, civil services to seniors and adults with disabilities who live in San Francisco. Senior is defined as 60 plus, 60 years older plus. And we provide, we see about 1,600 people each year. So we have a whole variety of different services that we provide that I'm going to detail here. Our biggest area is housing. So, I mean, one of the things is that Aisling was talking about is like this, we are here when there's a problem arises, right? The opportunities at Open House were amazing. And sometimes you're applying for housing or you're in housing and there's a threat to the housing you have and you're having a problem. And that's sort of when we usually, except for end of life planning, we do tons of end of life planning, but most of the stuff we do is actually trying to solve a problem that you're experiencing. So the number one call we get, which I'm sure no one is surprised, about 60% of everyone who calls our office has some threat to their housing. So we do eviction defense. If you're getting sued, if you're being sued, we will defend your lawsuit. If you're at risk of losing one of your a subsidy will help you appeal the subsidy loss. If you are in rent controlled building and they're jacking up your rent and you don't think it's right, we'll help you at the rent board. If your landlord is harassing you, sometimes we can't do all the cases, but sometimes we take affirmative actions to try to stop the harassment. Particularly during COVID, we saw a lot of kind of extra legal attempts of evicting people. And so we will step in and try and fight that. So generally around threats to your rental housing, we'll step in. We also do benefit advocacy. So if you are on SSI or SSDI, or you get Medi-Cal or Medicare, or you have some other kind of benefit, we will help advocate for you. If you're in a skilled nursing facility or something like that, and they're trying to evict you and you don't want to be evicted, we'll challenge that eviction process and make sure that they're giving you, that you have a safe out to where you are. We also do elder abuse prevention. So if someone is physically harming you, you should call the police or adult protective services. But if you need like a restraining order or other protections in place to keep you from harm, we will do that. If you're being exploited financially, if someone's got your bank number or other types of taking your benefits or something like that, we will help stop that exploitation through affirmative action. And then if you have a lot of credit card debt, I know that COVID was really hard on a lot of people, particularly folks who are seniors and adults with disabilities who maybe stopped working to protect themselves. You know, before the vaccines, a lot of people are working still, but it wasn't safe to be out in some of those fields. And so the result is a lot of people have a lot of credit card debt. So we'll help with different kinds of consumer debt. We also have protections for homeowners, which Darren is going to talk about, some foreclosure prevention stuff that Darren will talk about later. But and end of life planning, I can't believe to that. Wills, very similar, like advanced healthcare directives, wills, trusts, and powers of attorney are all that we can do comprehensive estate planning and end of life planning for folks, which is good because it protects you later on as you age and things are a little bit slower for you. Maybe if you have those in place, then when it's harder for you to make decisions, your wishes can be known beforehand. So it's really important. I think that's the general overview. And if we don't do it, we'll definitely help you get to the right place. And I think I'm going to hand it over to Darren now.
Thank you, Laura. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the unit that I'm a part of, and that's growing rapidly, which is our financial security and stability team. You can see some of our members of the team here on our slide here. And really the goal of the financial security and stability team is to try to prevent financial abuse or exploitation before it happens, or to at least minimize the effects of any potential exploitation or abuse, and also to assist those facing consumer issues like credit card debt. We are really excited to be here with Homeownership SF because we've are expanding our services to as recipients of a foreclosure prevention grant, and are growing our financial security and stability team. So what we are doing now, and what we are going to be doing more in the future, are issues around folks facing potential foreclosures. And there's a lot of different ways that we can assist, including helping with legal issues regarding loan modifications. So sometimes you need to try to get a different interest rate, or a different extend the loan out to just make it more affordable, and prevent, of course, the worst from happening, which would be a loss of the home. we can assist with identifying and negotiating with the loan lenders and servicers on more technical aspects, looking for mistakes, of course, that a loan servicer or bank looking to foreclose may have missed, making sure that you as a homeowner get all the protections that you are entitled to, and also helping obtain homeowners facing a potential foreclosure, obtain assistance, financial assistance to help either pay some of the loans or property taxes, or sometimes both. And of course, as attorneys, we provide a lot of legal advice around these issues, which unfortunately we cannot do in this session. We can provide a lot of legal information, particular legal advice. You'll have to call our office for that. You know, part of the, I wanted to kind of explain a little bit, you know, the impetus behind the motivation behind this foreclosure prevention work, again, is really to try to prevent financial abuse or mitigate the losses of it, because that's what I started out doing at Legal Assistance to the Elderly, representing victims of financial abuse. And very often a large component of that abuse had to do with some home aspect, either a home ownership or rental aspect. And one thing that became kind of clear to me in doing this work is that there's a lot of steps that can be taken through what we call end-of-life planning that can really help prevent this abuse, or like I said, mitigate it, you know, try to slow it down before it gets too bad. And so Laura touched on this a little bit, but by, you know, the end of life planning services, what I'm referring to are things like wills or trusts for those who have more complex estates. In fact, we can even do full estate plans for qualifying clients. We'd be happy to, you know, talk to you more about that. If and we've been working with, we've actually done some presentations at the LGBT Center on these end-of-life planning services, and are going to be working with Unlock in the future as well. Stay tuned for that, about trying to provide some workshops where people can get their, you know, their wills or powers of attorney or advanced healthcare directives prepared by an attorney and executed and notarized. So we're really excited about that.
I just wanted to say,
I'm going to pass it over to Laura to talk a little bit about a different project of ours called, sorry, it's a little bit difficult for me to move slides slowly here. What we call our D11 project, which is the Excelsior Legal Collaborative.
I just wanted to also mention about the housing stuff we do. We also do, if people need help getting reasonable modifications to their homes. The thing about San Francisco's housing is that there's a lot of stairs everywhere, and our housing stock is pretty old. And so a lot of times when people are aging in their housing, they need help, they need a lift. And sometimes landlords are not supportive of that, even though they're legally required to. So things like that, we also work with. Or you need a shower, you have a tub, you need a shower. Some of them are harder to get, but we definitely do that. So the Excelsior Legal Collaborative is a collaborative between Legal Assistance to the Elderly, the Asian Americans Advancing Justice, or Asian Law Caucus, as it's well known in San Francisco, and Jubilee Immigration Advocates. And it's really targeted at senior and disabled immigrant folks. And so there's a lot of language capacity in these, but we have clinics. We have a tenants' rights clinic, which is always the second Wednesday of a month, a workers' rights clinic, which is the fourth third Wednesday of the month, and then an immigration rights clinic, which is the fourth Wednesday of the month. Sorry, second, third, fourth. Housing, workers, immigration, and those you can call to make an appointment and get a slot, and they're after hours for folks who are working, so you should be able to access them still if you and so that's our Excelsior works. That all of the clinics are done out of our Excelsior office, which is part of Excelsior Works, which is near Safeway on Mission, if people know the Excelsior. But we're at 5,000 Mission out there. And then Darren, are you doing the? And then so we just wanted to reiterate, because Eviction Defense is our largest group at legal assistance to the elderly. We have about 12 attorneys working on eviction defense, and it can make an incredible difference. We have about a 90% success rate keeping people housed, meaning that they don't ever experience they have no experience of homelessness, right, during that period. So about 70% we can keep them in their houses, and about 20% we can help them transition to different housing, but never experience that homelessness. So it's important to get advice and help as soon as you can. Evictions happen super, super fast. Usually we call it 5-day land. So everything happens in 5 days, whether you know about it or not, right? So we have our phone number there, 415-538-3333. So anyone who has getting any paper or harassment or a hard time from their landlord can call, and we can see what kind of assistance. And then in San Francisco, everyone has a right to counsel. It's not a fully funded program, but every tenant has a right to counsel if they're being evicted. And the Eviction Defense Collaborative is actually the central agency. So if you guys or you know anyone who is either being sued or evicted, then these are the places to call for those. So we kind of, LAE does sort of general housing. We do eviction defense, but we kind of do a lot of stuff around housing. So we're a good place to call to either get help or get connected with the right person. And then eviction defense is really about if you're getting an unlawful detainer or a lawsuit to evict you, or a notice from your landlord saying that they want to evict you. A lot of times people start getting threats, or they're selling your building, and so you're afraid they're gonna, you're gonna lose. So that kind of situation, the pre-eviction stuff, if you can call our office for assistance or to connect you to the right people. I think that's all that's all our little spiel, but we're happy to answer questions about services or anything, any questions people have.
Thank you, Laura. Well, definitely, maybe some of them are thinking about the questions. You definitely, just the same as Ashley, it looks like your group also has a lot of services in there. And so thank you so much for that information. 61% is definitely not a number to joke about. Of your cases are definitely eviction for eviction prevention. And so that's such a, that's a large number, and that coupled with all the other things that you do, that definitely, I am glad that you were able to share this, because some of the information you shared, I was not aware that you guys offer, you know what I mean? So if I didn't know it, what else for the other people that might be here on this?
Gotta get the word out.
Yeah,
gotta get the word out.
And that's the purpose why we're here. That's what Homeownership SF is all about. We definitely want to make sure that people do have resources. And so for everybody who's attending, these are just 2 resources. And as you notice, they have a wealth, like a comprehensive group of services and programs. And so we want you to check those out. However, of course, in addition to them, there are also other resources that can be available in the city. And as you notice, we have a slide here that tells you a couple more that can work in conjunction while working with these agencies or separately. The San Francisco Department of Disability and Aging Services is actually under the Human Services Agency. And what they do is that they definitely provide a lot of services. Part of that is actually, a large portion of that is really, they help coordinate services for older adults, and this is also for veterans, people with disabilities, and also their families, and this is to maximize safety health, and independence, basically, in their living. Some of the services that they provide is that when you want to go through benefits, what benefits are you eligible for? They can help you with that support and determining what benefits are available to you. How about for care and support? If you need to find in-home care support, and people, if you're a senior, a person with disabilities, or have other needs, they can connect you to those services. How about staying connected with your community? Literacy services when it comes to digital literacy and digital knowledge, technology, transportation. These are also services that can check in through the DAS. That's what they're called. It's if you're thinking about your protection and safety, and definitely we've heard just Laura and Darren talking about financial safety and things like that. That can also be something that, you know, if you go to the DS, hey, I feel unsafe and things like that. But also physical safety is also one of the things that they can protect you. So aside from, you know, providing additional resources for financial protection, they could also provide you additional resources for physical protection, right? If somebody's abusing you or anything like that, you definitely want to have that resource. Another thing is that the basic needs. How about health, food, shelter? If you need a case manager, if you're unable to manage certain, navigate through the different services and programs, they may be able to assist you. They can look into that option for you and help you through that. And so if you want to reach to the Department of Disability and Aging Services, you can actually check in with their benefits and resources hub. They have one from Monday through Fridays, and it's from 8 to 5 p.m. You could call them basically at 415-355-6700. Another sub-department, a subgroup within the DAS is the county Human Services Agency, is the County Veteran Services Office. So they can help if you're a veteran and you need any type of benefit screening or assistance in figuring out what your benefits are. The County Veteran Services is also available, and their phone number is also on here, which is 415 sorry, my eyes are so bad. 415-934-4200. Now, a lot of these services, especially within the last 2-3 years, you know, have gone into a digital access, right? And I know I myself, a lot of people don't know, I'm already out over that 50 curve. And so I could attest that like the learning curve when it comes to digital stuff gets a little bit tougher when you age there. And so definitely this is, you know, there is like what they call the SF Connected program. Of course, there's different people may have different levels of digital capacity or digital learning. And so we want to make sure that you have access to digital services, digital courses. And so there are free computer tutoring and support for older adults and adults with disabilities. Definitely the SF Connected program basically has installed 200 touchscreen computers. I mean to say they provide equipment, and they also provide basically training. And so if you need access to training, equipment, or just somebody to assist you through a digital process, basically the Department of Aging and Adult Services, or DAS, also provides this program. Their phone number is 415-355-3555. And you could also go to their website, which is SF Connected. Now, something that's not on this PowerPoint that I want to share also, if anything, there's also what they call the SF Service Guide, which basically provides you different resources in the city. I've typed that website on the chat. If you need any services, you could always search under senior services, and it pops up a whole list of different services. Now, if all else fails, as I said, we are a resource hub. If you need to ask for referrals to the LAE, to open house, we're here. We're ready to help you out with that as well. So, you know, I'll be putting in our name also and info again on the chat. With that being said, I think we could go to the next slide, which is, I think, questions. Oh, resource fair. So if anything also, one of the ways, so this is, as I said, these are just examples of certain resources that are available for you in the city. They will actually be available to you also through our resource fair and help center. That will be this Saturday. So besides our online programming or online workshops, that's going to go all the way through tomorrow night. So we'll have a new set of workshop. We have a few more workshops today and some workshops tomorrow night. We do have an in-person resource fair and help center. We'll be featuring about 50 resources that are available. That's kind of like going into your computer, but now you're seeing them actually in person. That's basically what you get to do. You get to interact with them. You get to talk with them. You get to ask questions. You get to get information from their booths. So I do want to invite you, if you have not signed up for that, I invite you to invite you to go in, visit us. It's going to be at the Leola M. Havard Early Education School. Basically address is there. It's at 1520 Oakdale Avenue. I would suggest to invite everybody that you know also to come over, and that way they have access to these services. That resource fair is from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Next slide. So right now, I know we only have one question right now, but I believe some of you might have some questions. So after this one question, if you want, you could unmute yourself and ask your question if you're shy to type it in. So the question is basically with regards, going back to the question, can people with disabilities apply to senior listings? Aisling, can I invite you to answer this for our attendee here?
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to. The answer most of the time is unfortunately no. I find this day and age, it seems to be pretty separate. Either there's housing for people with disabilities or there's senior housing. And there's not a whole lot of opportunity to cross apply. So if there's an age requirement, there's usually not going to be a way around it. You're looking at either usually 62 and older for seniors in San Francisco. Some places will still be 55 and older. It depends on the funding source. And then again, there's going to be separate housing opportunities for people with disabilities specifically. There might be units set aside, like Raquel was talking about, for people with mobility or hearing or vision impairments who need a unit that's modified per ADA standards. That's going to be a little bit different as opposed to housing specific, that'll be within housing opportunities for people with disabilities or opportunities for seniors as well. But by and large, if a listing has an age requirement or a requirement for a disability, you're going to need to be able to meet that in general.
Thank you, Aisling. That was great. I do have a question here, and I will answer this for you, Vicky. So if you have come in late or have missed any of the pieces here, anything of that, or have missed any of the presentation, don't worry. We're actually recording the presentation. So you could go back to it. We will be publishing this on our YouTube channel. Homeownership SF does have a YouTube channel, and actually, since you are also registered into this, you can access. We'll also have it. Also, I think we'll have it on our website. We normally sometimes feature some on our website, but yes, you will have access to this presentation by that way. So that's for Vicky and everybody else. Our YouTube channel is, bear with me, like I always just do a search. I go like YouTube homeownership and stuff, but let me get that for you. It's pretty searchable. Bear with me. Yes, so it is, our YouTube channel is Homeownership SF. And no underscores or spaces. So Homeownership SF. That's our YouTube channel. Should be on there. Allow us about a week or so, because of course we have to process it. But allow us to be able to do that, and we'll definitely have that on there as soon as it's available. Any other questions? I have a question. I do have a question for all our panelists. Of course, seniors can mean many things, or target demographic groups can mean many things, right? Both of you talked about seniors, talked about this, people with disabilities. So each one can answer. Is there a particular age requirement to be classified as a senior to be able to access services?
For our funding, and I would just guess that Ashling has similar funding, we're 60 plus for it's what seniors are in
Got
our world. I mean, I see also that, I don't know if you check that, and you have a question too.
Thank you, Laura.
So I'll just say quickly for open house, the LGBT community is a little bit different, and especially when we look at like the Tgnc, the trans community, folks can be considered elders at a much younger age culturally in our communities. So, you know, if I'm helping you apply to housing opportunities and it says 62 plus on there, that's what we're going to work with. But we'll consider pretty much anybody who considers themselves a senior or an elder as such. Most of our programming, folks tend to start coming in around age 55, but we get folks of all walks and ages in general. So anyone's welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Okay, great. So for everybody, so I noticed that there's, so as I said, the resource that we have available here will also be available on Saturday. So for those who have a ticket for Saturday's event, so we do have our services are going to be available. We will, this is for everybody who's planning to come to our resource fair, since we talked about it. We are actually observing safety in that space. We will require masking. There's social distancing. It's in an open space. And also we will have sanitation centers on all over the area to make sure we're keeping everybody safe. But of course, we do want our participants to come in with, make sure, always remember, check in with yourself, right? If you feel unsafe or anything like that, we will have access anyway to some of this information also that you're seeing here. But yes, we are going to keep that space safe for attendees to come in.
Do you see the Ann's question? I don't know if you can see it on your screen.
Go ahead, Anne. Thank you so much. Anne, go ahead and unmute yourself. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Anne. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, my hearing isn't very good, so I can't hear myself talk. I'm wondering if you guys, if there's a number to call to ask for better understanding of the local ERAP for evictions, the local rental assistance. I've gotten my 3-day notice to pay or quit. The unlawful detainer is on its way, and I have a application into ERAP, but I've been, just waiting for ERAP and fallen more behind. And I didn't know if there was a maximum number of months ERAP is paying and when that's going to be paid. If they can pay the landlord, then we can avoid this unlawful detainer altogether.
Go ahead, Laura. If you could talk on behalf
if you've
of
already received your
prevention.
3-day notice to quit, then you should contact either our office or the Eviction Defense Collaborative right away. And then if you have an ERAP application, I don't know which agency helped you do that.
I applied online
Okay.
on March 28th for the San Francisco ERAP.
And go ahead, Laura. I was about to actually ask Anne to send me her information.
Okay.
Perfect.
Anne?
That's great.
Yeah.
How do I contact you?
And I'm gonna send you a personal chat. I'll send you my information directly. If anything else fails, I'm also gonna post on the chat additional information Well, actually, let me post this on the chat for everybody.
Okay.
And that way everybody sees this. This is my information. So that's my email. If any of you have a question with regards to this presentation or any of the topics that we've discussed, definitely feel free to email me, and that way we could get to help you out through that and maybe provide the proper referrals. Sorry if I jumped in, Laura, there. Laura, did you have other information maybe to share to Anne pertaining to addressing the eviction piece? And I'm so sorry to hear about your situation, Anne.
Sorry, I was just saying that, you know, the ERAP program is currently, they're not accepting new applications because they have such a backlog, which sounds like what you're experiencing, Anne. And
Yes.
so I might, the Eviction Defense Collaborative also has a rental assistance component called RADCO. And they're very experienced. I would go to an agency that helps out with ERAP applications, even though you did it on your own, because they're gonna have more connections and experience with actually going, kind of calling up the city saying, what's going on here? And they're gonna be able to make those connections. Our office doesn't do a rental assistance directly in that way. So I would definitely reach out to RADCO, or there's several agencies that help with that. I don't know if Open House is one of them, but I think the LGBT Center is one of them. But I would try RADCO. That's the one I'm most familiar with, or Self-Help to the Elderly. Also, I think also does it. But I would definitely try. I would kind of aggressively try to get a person who does rental assistance and see if they can help facilitate the process, because it may just be the city's kind of at a backlog and they're trying to figure it all out, and so maybe it's an easy fix, because if you do receive a 3-day, there's probably a way to get you pushed to the front, maybe, I don't know, but usually there's something. But I would definitely do that, and then also either contact us or Eviction Defense Collaborative about the 3-day notice.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much, Laura. And that's perfect to hear that. One of the things is that Aisling already also posted on the chat the website wherein you could get relief resources. But one of the easiest ways also is that we can actually refer you to any of these agencies, because part of those agencies, Homeownership SF, we do have about 10 rental servicing groups that we may be able to refer you to. And so we can refer you to one of them, and that way they could follow up with you. I could also escalate your case, because of course we could always escalate your case, and that way they could be able to look into it. But Laura was correct. That it would be good to actually team up with a provider that provides assistance with the rental assistance programs. They do have they will know where your application may have been assigned, and it is correct. There is currently a backlog with regards to the applications. However, they have committed to review any application that has gone through. But of course, we want to we want to make sure that we take notice of your application and that they're aware that this is happening.
Okay. What was your name again? I'm sorry, it doesn't say on your square. It just says homeowners.
So my name is Raquel. And
okay.
I put in my if you have access to the chat, I did put my direct email on the chat.
Oh, I see it. Okay, I see it now.
Homeownership.org. If you or anybody, okay.
I'll call Radco tomorrow and I'll look at that link, and then I'll follow up with you, Raquel. Is that what you guys suggested? I'm sorry, I'm also running a fever, so.
Oh no, man, it rains at Ford.
Yeah, I lost my hearing in my right ear the other day completely. So it's just, I think it's maybe all the stress. I have no idea. So thank you. Thank you all so much.
First call that you need to make, Anne, would actually be to call either eviction any of the tenant counseling groups that are available.
Okay.
If you've received a UD, I would recommend you call legal assistance or
Yes.
eviction defense.
Yeah, with
If
the
you have
notice,
not
we'll
rec-
help you. With the notice,
Yeah,
you
Also
can
with
get
the
help.
okay.
perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So
Thank
either
you. Thank
EDC or LAE, either one is like where you want to
LAE.
start.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
great.
then with regards to the application, following up on the rental application, you can actually refer to either the web page that Ashling posted with any additional information. Radco is definitely another resource that can provide rental assistance. And then of course, you could also email me. But either one of those resources you can use so that we could
Do it all.
yeah. I would
That's
say
always
do
what
it
I
all.
recommend. Do it all until you get what you need.
I would say that.
Okay.
If anything, Anne, send me your name, your address. If you have also your application number, and I noticed that you have your application date, that will easily allow me to
Yeah, I
actually
kind of
escalate
remember
that.
I remember the date, but I know they sent me a confirmation email, and when I forwarded it to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
I accidentally lost it.
So, okay, give me your email address.
Okay.
Give me the email address that you use. Give me your address
Okay.
and the date, and they may be able to trace it to your
Find it.
name
Yeah.
and your
Or the
address and
address.
everything.
Probably the
Mhm.
address of the where I live. You
Yes.
know, that
Mhm.
would be the most common. Okay, thank you all so much. I hope
Oh,
my
our
question helped
pleasure.
other people.
Our pleasure there. Any other questions maybe that are available on this? If you want to unmute yourself or raise your hand, that would be great. I think any additional information that any of our presenters would like to share before we end, maybe that you want to emphasize.
If you don't have a will, get one. If you're
I
over
like that.
60 or a person with disabilities, we'll do it for you. There's no reason to wait. You should think about it as making it life easier for everybody else.
That sounds good. That actually sounds good. These are things that people don't normally think about, right? Every day. Any other services or information you'd like to share before we end? Ashley? Pizza
No, I'm
service. No,
good.
just kidding.
Thanks so much.
We just released our pizza service. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Give the people
all
what
of-
they want.
Exactly. Oh no. Okay. Gray, we will be actually releasing this as a recording. It's going to come out on our YouTube channel. And so our YouTube channel is under Homeownership SF. You could, please allow a little bit of time so that we could process it and get it ready, but we'll definitely post it on the website. Any other questions or requests before we end? Okay. Aisling, you're amazing. Darren, Laura, you guys are amazing. I swear, I've heard the services before from Aisling, but hearing it again and just like hearing the breadth of services, it's amazing.
Really cool.
Hearing what's available for legal assistance for people.
Yeah.
I think I have one last question. I hope you don't mind.
Nope.
What do you think are the biggest detractors for people to come and ask for assistance normally, like seniors? What's the biggest setback when they come in like, oh well, I wanted to but I didn't know how to get to you? What were their biggest setbacks normally?
I mean, first is learning about all the services that are available, right? I mean, I think that's the hardest part. And then sometimes it's hard to recognize when something's a legal problem. Sometimes, it works both ways actually. Sometimes people call us and we're like, that's horrible, but it's not a legal issue we can help with. And sometimes we're like, yeah, we can help with that. We wish you would have called us earlier, but we'll work on it now, So it's like, I think that's the biggest, it's hard to ask for help sometimes. And it's important. We all need it. Everyone needs help. And so I think that's probably our biggest one.
Thank Thank you so much. Well, anyway, I know I've kept you all long enough, 7 minutes long extra, but thank you so much for joining us, everybody, especially to our panelists. Thank you so much. If anything, if you have any questions, any of the attendees, please email us. You could email us at info@homeownerships.org and or call us at 415-202-5464. I don't know if any of you have put in also your contact information into the chat. But if anything, I would be glad to share that with you as an attendee. We'll be glad to share their info. But anyway, thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a great evening.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, you guys. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you. Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Thanks.